So who's seen the TV show The Greatest American Hero? Remember that back in the day? That goofy guy with the magic suit, he was trying to fly, and he kept trying because he lost the instruction book, and so he was trying to figure out how to fly, and kept falling on his nose, and this little kid came up and tugged on him and said, "It's easy, you take 3 steps and jump real hard." And he tried that, and he took his 3 steps, and he jumped real hard, and whoa, he was flying. Oftentimes, in life, when we've got the big leaps coming, we got to make the 3 steps. We got to start taking steps before we can jump real hard. Most of the time leaping, most of us don't leap from a standing position. We take a couple steps and then we leap. And so those first steps can be the most crucial times, because without those first steps, the leaping is much more challenging. Now here in Merritt Island, we know some about small steps and we know some about big leaps.
Very fine. Now now step off the limit. That's 1 small step for man, 1 giant leap for mankind.
That's 1 small step for man. One giant leap for mankind.
So we know something about small steps, and we know something about giant leaps. Without the small steps that were taken, there would have been a giant leap of some folks landing on the moon. It's those small steps that we take that may seem small at the time, the tedious tasks, the things that we do, the preparations that we make, that build the momentum, that lay the foundation for those big leaps that are coming. Now those small steps and those giant leaps both can be defining moments for us. Like in the skit where we saw little Johnny struggling with reading and getting kind of poked at by the other kids because his reading level wasn't up where it needed to be, where they felt it should be. And he internalized that as his story. And he began to build on that story of, because of this I am that, because of this I am that. When folks ask you about some kind of leap that you're getting ready to take, what do you draw upon? Your past. Well, you know, I've tried it before and it didn't work, and da-da-da. Or I tried it before and it did work, and da-da-da. Whatever your story is, it's your internal story that's continually evolving and changing because you're writing new pages. Now, in the story, little Johnny took that small step which led to the giant leap. He gave that surge right when he needed to become the strongest reader in the class. And he now had a new story. He now had new experience to draw from. And so now when he looked at things in his life and said, can I do it? Well, of course I can. If I can do that, then I can do this. That was a challenge, and I was last in line. Now I'm first place. Now it's the timing of those leaps that can be so critical. When 2 people are starting with a race, if one person leaps off the starting line, then they're already in front. And the person they're racing against, well, they're playing catch up the rest of the race. It sets the energy of it just by that little leap at that right time. Or if 2 people are neck and neck on that race, and as they approach the finish line, one of them leaps forward, they win. It's those little leaps that become defining. What are the leaps in our lives? What thing are we doing right now? Maybe we're taking the small steps. Maybe we're taking the giant leaps. But what things are we doing right now that with a little extra oomph, that little extra oomph right there, right at the right time, becomes a defining moment? Now sometimes it can feel a little bit like this. Most of us can relate to that. We're right on the edge. We know that's where we need to go. Everything in our life has brought us to this point, and we are scared to death. We know we want to, we know we need to, we know it feels right. Everything in our world is lined up for this. That's a long way down. And I can't see a path. I can't see a way to get across that chasm. A lot of the teachings talk about, until you take this step, you can't see the path. Well, in this, Indiana Jones could not see the path until he took the step. But once he took the step, his perspective shifted. As his perspective shifted, because he was now there instead of here, he could then see the path that he was actually on. Most of us can relate to being on that cliff, to having that, oh boy, and just like, and I love that little clip because you could see the mental thing that we all go through of, but I know, but I can't, but I know, but I have to, but what do I do now? Do I turn around and go back? I've come so far, but what do I do with that? That's a mile across. There's no way I can jump that. And even how dramatic it was when he went, I'm committed. It was in that commitment, it was in taking that step that everything changed. That's how we all are. Because change is spooky. Even though we know we love it. Even though we know we want what's on the other side of it. Taking that step that we know that for us is perfect. For us, as everything is led right up to this. Right here. But now I got to do it. Hold on. But once we take that step, then this path starts to show up, like out of nowhere. And it's easy the way it works, but it works that way over and over. And this is where the faith part of leap of faith, of grabbing God's hand, saying, walk me through this, comes in. I remember a couple years ago, I married this sweet gal, and we were trying to figure out our future, where we're going to go as newlyweds, and what we're going to do, and we lived in South Dakota. We had a nice little house, and we had a little business downtown on Main Street that was doing pretty good, a little alternative therapies clinic, and we went on tour quite often, and we wrote books, and we did all these things. We had this nice little life. And for a couple of years, we've been prodded. We really need to move to Florida. Really want to move to Florida. Man, this Florida thing, there's something there. Yeah, but see here, we've got this house, see, we've got this business, and we've built it, and we've done all these things, and we know what this looks like. Yeah, but this over here is where you actually want to be. Wow, I know. And if I knew how we could do that and how it would all turn out, then maybe I could do it. But I know what this is. Now, the way that God works, the way the universe works, just like with all of us, led us to this point, to this jumping off point, and said, well, you can make a choice. You can stay here, you know what you got, and that's just fine, there's nothing wrong with that. Or you can choose this thing over here. Now, this thing over here is a little spooky, because with your brand new wife of all of a month, you're going to live at your mama house. Nothing says like could be trouble to a newlywed man. Then let's let my brand new wife move in with my folks as we go from this house to this 8x10 room.
Oh, it's 12x12, but that's all right.
With our stuff in a camper outside and in a storage unit and saying, baby, we're going to do it. God says this is a good thing. And luckily my wife and my folks get along pretty good, but that doesn't make it any less spooky. When you say we're going to leave 1,800 square feet and then we're going to move to 144 square feet, or we're going to take this business, we're just going to go ahead and close that down. Because God's telling us maybe we need to be over here at this Florida thing. And I'm sure it'll work out. I'm sure that we'll find a house and we'll find this, and we're leaving all our friends, but I'm sure we'll make some new friends. And we're leaving our family, but we're going to family, and I'm sure we'll make some new family. And everything in my being says that we should do this. But it's spooky. We had a choice. We could have not have. We could have stayed in there in Dakota, and we'd have been just fine. Continuing with our life, continuing with our business, continuing with the touring, continuing with what we knew. But now in hindsight, oh God. Because this is sweet. We would not have y'all. We would not have the life we have. And honestly, I don't know if Mary would be pregnant right now with twins or not. There's a whole new life that's opened up because we went, my mama house, huh? and we did it. And we did it. And with all of us, these moments become the defining moments for us. Mary gave notice at her job last week, and that last day at Walmart is March 9th. And I'm here to tell you that wasn't easy. We all have the really, really, really important reasons that we do the things we do. And from the outside looking in at any one of our challenges, they can look like no-brainers. But when you're in the eye of that storm, it is huge. It is mammoth. No matter what that eye is, personal, professional, financial, relational, whatever it is huge for us when we're in it. And when we're at the end of that cliff, when we're at that Indiana Jones part of looking down, going, sure. That's the moment that defines us. And I think of it like being on the end of a diving board, maybe as a kid for the first time, with all your friends looking at you, and everybody in the world feeling like they're judging you right at that moment of am I going to be able to muster the courage to jump off this thing, or am I going to allow my fear, and I'm going to just back up and go ahead and climb back down that ladder. Now that thing in itself of jumping off a board into some water doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What matters is how I feel about it, how I define myself by it. That I did it despite my fear, or, yeah, not this time. Not this time. Now, I can always climb back on that board again, and I can climb back out to that end, and it's not always got to be done the first time. Oftentimes, we might get up on the edge of that board 20 times before we finally take that jump. It's not about how many times we get there to do it. It's about that one time, that first time, that we take the jump. We've all been through it repeatedly. There was a time that we all had training wheels. There was a time those training wheels came off. And it was spooky. There was times that we were led to the edge of that diving board with all our friends looking. Oh boy. Now that leap was not just a leap, it was a defining moment for us. Now as I was thinking about today's sermon, when I was thinking about life this week, with Mary quitting her job and all these things, and being a new daddy and all these things, and I jokingly said, honey, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. But all the pressures, the internal things, I'm not sure if I'm ready, if I can do, but I'm gonna give it my best shot, and we're already going down that road. Let's do it. I was looking on YouTube and I found something that just so, I'm gonna share it.